What if I told you Kobe Bryant had one last wish from the Los Angeles Lakers and it was denied? These new revelations about his final years with the Lakers might just shock you. This is the Basketball Bulletin where we cover league-wide NBA news and more, so make sure you stick around and subscribe. We're attempting to hit at least 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts, and we definitely need your help. Reports came out earlier today on Twitter from Ramona Shelburne that in his twilight years with the Lakers, Kobe Bryant was trying really hard to push for the Lakers to make a trade or sign some big name players, including but not limited to Dwayne Wade, LaMarcus Aldridge, and DeMarcus Cousins. And here's the report. Kobe Bryant reportedly tried to recruit Dwayne Wade during his final seasons in an attempt to make one last run. Bryant had tried to cajole the Lakers into fielding better teams around him in his final few seasons in LA, recruiting free agent forward LaMarcus Aldridge, Miami Heat star Dwayne Wade, and encouraging a trade for Sacramento Kings star DeMarcus Cousins. Now that's all really interesting. What do you guys think about that? Out of all those guys that are listed there, was there anybody in particular that you would have wanted to see play with Kobe? For example, for me, I think they could have made it work, but it would have been crazy to see D-Wade and Kobe playing together. Now they would have been shells of themselves at that point because we're talking about the last few seasons where Kobe was unable to really stay healthy and produce the way that we would have liked him to after the Achilles injury. So no knock, just reality. And D-Wade was in a similar situation where injuries prior in his career had caught up to him and he was slowing down, and it wouldn't have been them at their prime, obviously, but I still think just conceptually it would have been really cool to see. Also, DeMarcus doesn't wind up lasting a ton after that. He has a couple more seasons. I think this last season where he was all-star caliber was 17, 18 in there. But I think that if you had paired DeMarcus with Kobe at that time, you would have had a really fun team for the Lakers. Let's talk a little bit about how those team rosters wound up actually looking. Also, we have something fun to talk about a little bit later that's LeBron Lakers related, in which this is something that's been talked about a lot, about how LeBron came to LA because of the fact that he saw how Kobe was treated, and I don't think it's that simple, but he actually chimes in here. So more on this later, and I'll give my thoughts on it. But back to the Kobe topic. So first thing I wanted to do is take a look at the last few seasons Kobe had on the Lakers, the teams that they had, etc. So this is 2013-14. This is a year in which they had the remnants of the prior year's roster that had Dwight Howard, but he had just left. They still had some other guys on this team like Steve Nash, and they ultimately ended with 27-55 as their overall record with Mike D'Antoni as the coach. And this is a season that's often forgotten because Kobe sustained his Achilles injury so late in the previous season that this year was largely lost. I think he only played a handful of games. We'll cover that in a minute. But yeah, this team was interesting. Just conceptually, they had a fun roster. Kent Bazemore, Steve Blake, a lot of guys here. Jordan Hill, I liked him. Chris Kaman on this team. Kendall Marshall, Jody Meeks, Steve Nash, Nick Young. So they had an interesting roster that Kobe would have definitely helped make all the way to the playoffs, but unfortunately he wasn't there. We take a look now at the next season where they decide that they are going to shift focus. They hire Byron Scott, finished 21-61, and now they are looking towards doing a two-timeline thing where they are trying to some degree, I guess, remain competitive because you do have Kobe, but they are also acknowledging the rebuild, right? And so there are a lot of younger guys on this team and things like that. So we have on this team, rookie Julius Randle was added. We also had Jordan Clarkson as well, rookie on this team, both of which are still in the league today. But we do have some older guys like Carlos Boozer here. We had Ronnie Price. We had Jeremy Lin there, who was coming off of the Lin Sanity thing. Nick Young is still around. So this team was a team that, like I said, they tried to do a two-timeline thing. Didn't really work out. We'll talk about Kobe's numbers specifically in a bit. 2016, the last year that Kobe played, this team was largely rebuild and just kind of had Kobe on it. They have D'Lo here. They got Jordan Clarkson, Roy Hibbert, Ryan Kelly still sticking strong. They brought back Metta World Peace, and that's like largely it. So this team, unfortunately, was... So the thing about these last few teams was Kobe was clearly, and we'll see that here, Kobe was clearly not himself anymore, but it was so fun to watch those teams because of the young players that the Lakers had added into the last couple of years because they were just consistently finishing towards the bottom. And so looking at Kobe here, 12-13, that was the year where he sustained that Achilles injury, and he did so much to get this team just to the playoffs because that team was grossly underachieving that year, and it was unfortunate. There was a lot of just weird things with the way that roster was used by Mike D'Antoni, things like that. Unfortunate, but he sustained that injury towards the end. I think it was April 12th, something like that. And then the following year, he only played 6 games. So that was the year that I said that Kobe didn't play much because he sustained it so late in the year. He played 6 games that year and only put up 13 points per game, things like that. So we move on to 36 and 37-year-old seasons for Kobe. And I'm not really sure that, long story short, you could have paired this Kobe post-Achilles injury with somebody else and really had it be what you would have wanted it to be. Maybe if you put him alongside DeMarcus Cousins, it works. But because with Kobe here, the defense has got to key in on him. But I don't really think that anything really truly becomes of it. And so I'll ask you guys the question. Do you think the Lakers made the right decision not going all in on an aging superstar coming off of injury that for most people ends their career? So post that down below, especially back here. Like this is 10 years ago. So for us today now, this isn't a career ender injury anymore. We've seen other star players come back from this, but back here, that was still largely the case. And I remember the whole campaign post this injury about how Kobe's going to come back stronger than ever, things like that. I'm not bringing this point up to like downplay that. It's just the mentality around it has shifted so much, right? All right, so let's take a look at the LeBron post here. And by the way, quick note, D-Wade also, I didn't pull up D-Wade stuff. D-Wade also at that time period, part of the reason LeBron, as we're talking about him, left the Heat was because D-Wade's body was starting to fail him too. So it just kind of was what it was. So I'm not sure D-Wade would have been the one that you would have paired with Kobe. It would have been kind of weird too, because you would have had to, if you're the Lakers, unless he was a free agent, have to go back and look at the contract situation. You would have had to give up some assets to get an aging D-Wade, and it would not have just been, all that. D-Wade does also shift to, he stayed there for a while, right? Then he went to Chicago and then Cleveland and just did a bunch of things. So anyway, so on the LeBron thing, a lot has been made about why he came to LA back in 2019 or so. And just to kind of recap briefly, what they're talking about here is how, and we just looked at the numbers, so there's no, denial here, how the last few years Kobe wasn't all that great, but the Lakers still paid him like he was Kobe Bryant and not the Kobe post-Achilles injury at that point. And the reason why they did that was because the Lakers typically have a history of treating their star players well, and that is that's the embodiment of that. You're paying this guy all of this money at the time that, based on the production of the court, calling a spade, didn't deserve it, right? But you're paying him for the merit and the thing he's given to you, the things he's given to you over all those years, the championships, the work, the pedigree, who he is, right? And it's basically a thank you to him for all the years of service, and I can understand and completely appreciate that. And that's one of the things that most establishments aren't going to do. We saw even other teams start shipping their guys out. Think Paul Pierce towards the end of his Celtics tenure. Obviously doesn't amount to what Kobe did, 5 championships. I'm not trying to make that comparison. But it's just teams don't typically do that. When these guys get older, a lot of them are going to ship them out or do different things. It takes a very, very specific organization, like Spurs with Tim Duncan, for example, or Dirk with the Mavericks, where they could get off of these guys and they don't. They keep them and they just keep their guy. And so the Lakers did something similar, and LeBron was said to have thought very highly of that. There have been a lot of reports on that. Anyway, he calls cap to the report that LeBron James joined the Lakers partly because of how they handled the final season of Kobe Bryant's career. He says, Cap, I came to the Lakers because I wanted to help Jeannie win championships, bring that spark back to the Lakers, and see my family blossom in SoCal. Why would I make a decision on how someone else is treated? Mama always said, stay out of grown folks' business, with the emoji there. I think that this is just a little bit self-serving. I'm sure that he and his camp were aware of that, obviously, because you'd be hard-pressed not to be. And so I think there's probably truth in that initial report. It just makes a lot of sense. And and this is where terminology matters. In the initial report, they say partly could mean, that's like a 1% thing that he considered. Like, it just, that was cool. Okay, well, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be like that's 50% of the reason he came or something like that. So I think that he probably didn't consider it from that angle that I just mentioned. So other than that, I completely agree with him. It's hard to say what someone else is doing if you don't know exactly what their plans were. And he lays it out for you here. And he said this stuff before. He wanted to help bring championships to the Lakers. He's brought one. Been in contention a couple other times. Unfortunately, didn't have it happen, but they got pretty close, or should have gotten close. Looking at that season in 21, where they had an amazing roster, but just were riddled with injuries. He wanted to bring the spark back to the Lakers. That is another thing that he has done. For better or worse, the Lakers are always polarizing, talked about organization. But when you take the Lakers brand and you pair it with somebody as polarizing and talked about as LeBron, and they are winning games, especially in that 2020 season, and they are talked about, that spark, it's magical, it's back. And so he, I think, accomplished that at least for a period of time. And then on top of that, he said he wanted to see his family blossom in SoCal. The opportunities you find in Los Angeles are unlike opportunities you're going to find in most places. You can largely be successful in today's climate through the online atmosphere, similar to how I'm producing videos here. You can do a lot online. Marketing, it's not as big of a deal as it once was to say, oh, you need to live in a big market to be successful. Remember that whole thought process as far back as 10, 15 years ago. That's not really the case anymore. Like, it matters. It matters a lot. I think it matters as well, too, if you're somebody like LeBron and you're trying to set up your entire family to do their own things and be successful in different ways. And so I think that makes a lot of sense from what he's trying to say there. So what do you guys think? Post it down below about the Kobe stuff, about the LeBron stuff, about both things, and whatever you want, post it down below. Like I said, we are trying to hit a goal of 5,000 subscribers. And make sure that you do hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have not already, I've got the perfect video for you right there. Click it.